What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another YouTube collaboration. I do got my Christmas sweater on. I know it's a March, actually April, but don't hate on me. I still look good, and y'all niggas is mad. But anyways, we have a very special YouTuber. She's coming all the way from one of my favorite countries to visit, South Africa. I'm gonna let her introduce herself and what her channel's all about.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me. My name is NOXXY and I go by the name NOXXY Royale on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. My channel is talk channel. I discuss very relevant things that affect people every day. And sometimes I post and share some of my life and things that I do to make money or daily activities I just get up to. So some people can be inspired by the work and know that age is not a limit to growing yourself and building yourself up as a brand. Thank you so much.
All right. And, this is interesting because I did a video with Dr. Tiasan Johnson, who is a PhD over at African Studies over at California State University, Fresno. And we did a very awesome show on why are there so many black men in sexless relationships and marriages. And I didn't expect the international crowd to come in and comment on this because we were catering it more towards an American audience. But you had the best comment on the video, so much so that I offered you to come on and talk about that comment. And you emailed me, and we're here today. And you were explaining a different side of why women could be withholding sex in a relationship. So I wanted to hear it from your position. What intrigued you about that video?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's a topic that I keep hearing women around me bring up that are moms as well, that just say, I feel insecure about how my body looks, so I'm not sure if my husband still finds me sexy and all of those things. So I thought it's very relevant because I get it every single day. I've actually had conversations like that openly with other women before, and they expressed concerns mostly about body image and not so much about the men not wanting them. So it's almost like it's insecurities more than facts. It's not a fact that pregnant women or women after giving birth are not attractive, but they just feel that way.
I know that you're you also a mother yourself, and
yes, I am.
In the case of Dr. Tiasan Johnson, his wife and him experienced, he talked about sexless marriage for like 5 years. There are some men that experience it for 10 years, where there is like, no cheating in the relationship. The wife doesn't want the man to touch them and stuff like that. But at the same time, she doesn't expect the man to go out and mess with anybody. He should just suffer. Have you heard about sexless marriages in South Africa for like 5 or 10 years?
I've actually heard, not that long, but I've actually heard a woman say for about 8 months, her husband hadn't touched her and she didn't think he was out there cheating. But whenever she tried to initiate it, he would just brush her off and she'd be embarrassed to be rejected. So she didn't try, and time goes by, and before you know it, you haven't had sex in a year. So I don't know about 5 to 10 years. That sounds like the men would be getting it somewhere else. That sounds like that to me, but I'm not sure I've heard of anything that long and consider it normal.
I'm glad you're talking about this because you're in South Africa where women have, I would assume, less rights than they have in America. Not to be judgmental or anything like that, but would a wife ever think that it would be okay for her to withhold sex from her husband for that long a period in South Africa in general?
No, it would not be considered okay because obviously even the elders will tell you as South African women, are groomed mostly by their aunties, they'll tell you that a man needs to get his goods. And if you're withholding that from him, he can go out there and find somebody else. So women don't tend to do such things unless they are ready to lose the relationship altogether.
Okay, so that is different. The difference is in South Africa, women are telling younger women, like, hey, this is your husband. You need to get his ass up. And so many, not to be rude or anything. You gotta get his ass up.
Yes, they do say that.
Okay.
Yes, they do say that indeed.
I need to move to South Africa, right? but in respect to, and I don't know if you ever been to the United States?
No, I've never.
Okay. In the United States, a woman would be able to withhold sex from a man, and if he goes out and gets another woman, she can then divorce him for cheating. And then take all that stuff, right? Even though she doesn't want to have sex with him. But what are some of the other reasons outside of, let's say, pregnancy? Let's say, have you heard of any other reasons why a woman just wouldn't want to have sex with her husband outside of, those reasons?
Yes, actually, I had gathered a few points outside pregnancy and children that women have also raised to say, this is the reason why I'm holding back, or I think my husband is holding back. Women are actually scared to express themselves sexually because they fear that their men will look at them in a different light. So if they have, let's say, needs that are out of the ordinary, just regular things and fantasies that are out there, they're scared that if they tell that to the husband, they might not get the response that they want, because some men are not ready to get outside the box and explore new things. They're not open to new ideas. I'm going to give an example of women that want to use sex toys. Some men don't agree with that, and there becomes a problem in the relationship when the woman feels like she wants to progress to the next level and the man doesn't want to progress. So it could just make the relationship stale. And another one is sometimes men just don't know how to do it right, and women don't know how to say so. So to just tell the men that maybe you're not doing something right, they feel like that could cause an argument or a fight. So they just hold back on telling him the truth. And at the end of the day, nobody wants to have a boring sex life. So that could also make people hold back.
Okay, so let's kind of deal with that, because Dr. T.S.N. Johnson also talked about this. And I know that the South African community, which is very diverse, although it's like 60 million people around there, and the African American community, one thing I noticed about South African women and Black women in America, they both have like similar tastes. They like taller guys, obviously. They like guys a little bit more charismatic, funny, things like that. And then also in the bedroom, which I don't know so much about that, but it seems that a lot of Black women or African women, they like to judge like the guy based on maybe previous partners. I think all women might do that, but and so if a guy is not able to, he might be a good guy, he might be very stable, hardworking, but let's say he's fallen short in certain things. How important is sex that you would think, or sex performance for South African women? Like, is that really, really a big desire from the women that you've talked to, that the guy has to really be a good performer in bed?
Yes, and I think that also depends on the chemistry. My old chestnut that I like to refer to, people need to have chemistry first, because then you can further discuss what makes you happy in the bedroom and what doesn't. But yes, it is important. I don't think women stay if the sex is bad. No offense to other people that can't really do it right. But it actually makes women discuss that with their friends, like, oh, friend, this guy is not really, getting me there. What should I do? Because the last thing women want to do is cheat on their partner. So instead of cheating, people are now wiser and they just walk away from the relationship and go be happy. Because, yeah, it's just easier to be away from the guy than to cheat on him. So it is important that he's bringing his A game to the bedroom.
Okay, so let me know, because men have a lot of expectations. I know that you're in my favorite city, Johannesburg. I was out there doing my thing. We talk about that. Maboneng, pata pata. You see me, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm gonna take you out there too.
Okay, I'll be waiting for that call.
Let me ask you this though, because men have a lot of expectations. Women have a lot of high expectations for a man. So one, he has to be good in the bedroom. What are some of the other things that men need to be able to provide for women in South Africa, besides, the in the bedroom? What else does a man need to be able to do?
Okay, I think the basis of every relationship is good communication. That's like a basic thing. But if you're able to talk to your woman and understand everything she's saying to you, you could have a good relationship. It doesn't really matter. Here, people don't consider monetary value as much as people overseas. Of course, like I've seen on Kevin Samuel's channel, looking for six figures. People more look for chemistry, someone they can be friends with and go have adventures with, without really considering how much money they bring to the table. So I think it starts with communication, and then that could mold the relationship to be the best it can be.
Okay, so communication. But money is important.
Yes, it is important. But it's not a deal breaker. I have people that date broke people and are very happy with that, because they also have their own money,
But because he's slinging, he's slinging in the bedroom, so she can deal with a broke dude if he can. But if he got money and can't, she gonna leave him.
Yes, most probably, or get cheated on. Even worse. That's not fair.
So, sex is more important than money. Long-term stability for a lot of women in South Africa.
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I must say people around me don't usually say, I'm not going to date this guy because he doesn't have so much money. And they don't just require sex, of course. People want to be loved. That sounds like an old thing, because in 2021, people don't really chase love. People want to be ratchet and independent and bad. But then the real truth is people also want real relationships with stability and to go home to somebody. Everyone is looking for that. So even if you're not making that much money, and if the sex life is bad, it can be worked on. So people do mold relationships. Even if the sex is not that good, you can discuss that and find ways and grow.
Okay, but let me just say this also, all right? And I know that, a lot of women that I've realized, especially in, like I said, in South Africa, I've been there. I haven't been to Durban yet. I heard that Durban, ladies out there is really working with a lot. They told me to go down there. I'm gonna go down there though. I got a few rands I gotta spend down in Durban. I got some rands for Durban. I gotta go down to Durban. But what I've noticed is that a lot of ladies in the black communities, especially in Africa, Black America, they develop fast, and they unfortunately they start having sex young. Okay. Now, guys, let's say if the guys are not, the best looking at that time or something like that, guys have a longer path. So what happens is that if a girl is ladies like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, she can deal with older guys that got money and stuff like that, guys who are more experienced. You take this guy who's like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, he's trying to work, trying to build himself up, things like that. So he's expected, especially like in South Africa, if he comes from a poor family, he needs to help out his own family I'm pretty sure. Then he needs to, if he gets with the girl, he needs to be able to do nice things for her because she needs money for the weaves. She needs money for the stuff, transport. And I've taken Uber and Bolt inside in Johannesburg. It's expensive. It is not cheap.
Yes, it is.
Like, it is not cheap. Like, going to or Tambo cost me like $50 from Midrand. It was expensive. So it's a lot of money to be a man. But it's like these men who are expected to be providers, pay for things, and then also at the same time expected to be like, oh, you need to be able to like perform, in the bedroom and give me everything that I need. And then the lady who's been dealing with these other guys who they may be better in bed, but they haven't committed to her, they are not looking to build a relationship with her. They're not looking to do any of those things. And the guy who's willing to sacrifice that for him, he actually ends up getting a bad deal because he can't perform on the same level as a 30-year-old guy or the guy that was, like, do you see that happening a lot also in South Africa?
Yes, I actually made a point about that where men work so hard. So mental health could also be an issue that affects people's sex life because the guy has to figure out how he's going to put food on the table and all those stressful things. So at the end of the day, he's not in the mood to be jumping around. But women don't understand that burden and responsibility. So they might just think the guy is not into them when it's nothing to do with them because they're stressed, they're trying to make money, and everyone wants a secure future that's guaranteed. So even men chasing women before their dreams and the money and taking care of their families is not really a priority, especially at that age that you're mentioning at 17, 18. Everybody wants to be independent and not a waste guy. So I do think it affects relationships, but also the young girl that once the 30-year-old is not mature enough to realize that what the guy is doing is going to serve them both in the long run. So there is some immaturity from women's side if they're looking for all the guys with all the money and leaving the guys that want to commit to them but still want to work on themselves too, which I think is the golden guy right there. If your guy wants to commit to you and still committed to his family and helping out at home and committed to his dreams, that's the guy that you want to be with. But most people will chase the older guy with the money and get heartbroken and then go back and say men are trash. He has a baby mama there and there, but you chose that path. So I do think it's important for even young girls to be grounded and realize that a guy working on himself is not a selfish thing to do. You're better off supporting him than trying to draw more of his energy out and just complain.
So, let me ask you this, because one of the things that Dr. Tia Son Johnson talked about in our collaboration was, this kind of whole idea that, when he was like in graduate school, that a lot of women would be like, well, I wouldn't have dated you when you were in graduate school, but because you are Dr. Tia Son Johnson now, I'm willing to give you a chance. Okay. And I don't know how often it's. I know that South Africa, it's a pretty big country in Africa, but it's like 60 million people, and the United States is like huge. So and then sometimes a guy will make it. Let's say, he now becomes like a recording artist, or he's a big businessman, and then he'll go back and marry the same lady, but she's only talking to him because he now has money, and then they get into a marriage, or relationship, and she's really not attracted to him like that. Do you think that happens? Do you know of any ladies that are with a guy because he's stable, but they're not attracted to him?
Well, what I will say to that point is women that usually date a work in progress, there's also a downside to that because sometimes you stay with a man before he graduates and makes it. And then 5 years down the line, he makes it and realizes maybe you're not really compatible or he wants something bigger. Because when people level up, they also want to be with a woman who's growing at the same pace as him. So I know some people that say, I waited for this guy. I waited for him to go to school and study. I waited for him to get his nice job. And after that, the guy left me for somebody else. So It's 50-50. It's a chance and it's a risk. Some people do stay with the guys from scratch. They build themselves up, they get married, and they grow together, which works. But some people wait and put their lives on pause, supporting the guy to grow from scratch, and then the guy leaves them. So I do know people like that have said, I did everything I could. We worked together for this money, and he still went and looked for somebody else. So I think the solution would be, while your guy is also building himself up, it's important for the women to also look at themselves and match up to that level, because you can't expect somebody to stay with you when you don't want to grow, because it's irresponsible to not want to build yourself up and just support your man and not grow yourself, because at the end of the day, he is going to find somebody who's moving at the same pace as him. So people should also focus on themselves while they are helping their partner develop and grow. But also these women that are with men that are successful but are not attracted to them, I think there is a poverty background a lot in Africa. So some people will just be told, like I'm saying, by their aunties that love doesn't matter in a marriage. That's how some girls are raised. As long as the man can put food on the table and a roof over your head, that's the man you should be with, because love don't pay the bills. You should be with that guy because he can afford to take care of you. And all these things, it works for some, but for others it doesn't. So it's partial. Not all women are like that, but we do come across such instances very often.
So let me ask you this. So basically, and I'm talking like, you know, because I know and that's how the black community used to kind of work in America, where the elder women would kind of give more advice, but I don't think it's that strong. So the elder women in these, you know, because I know there's many different tribes in, you know, Joburg and just throughout all South Africa, but the elder ladies will instruct the women on what kind of man that they should be looking for in general.
Yes, for instance, if you try to bring your broke boyfriend home, they might not approve if he doesn't have enough cows. But then if he is financially stable, they might just approve of the relationship, not considering whether you love him or not. Like, that's not the first question that parents ask. Do you love him? They just ask, does he have money? Is he able to look after you? If you fall pregnant, can he look after that child? Can he pay school fees for that child? So I do think parents focus a lot on where you're going in life. Are you going to be able to look after yourself and be looked after, more than they think about love? Because, you know, older people don't really believe in love like that, if you ask me.
Well, let me ask you this. Since you're in Joburg, and you know I'm very familiar with the Rand, right? Um, just for shits and giggles, how if a guy is earning in Joburg 100,000 South African Rand a month, that's roughly about $6,800, and he can do that consistently, what kind of lifestyle? Well, if he's earning that as a, let's say, it doesn't matter, an American man or a South African man, what will the family, you know, for the most part, is that enough money for him to be able to say, I can marry your daughter?
I actually think it's more than enough, because people don't ask for too much. They don't put a figure to it. But yeah, 100,000 rands per month is way more than enough. I think the biggest price that men have to pay in Africa is the dowry, before, or they call it lobola, before the woman can leave the house. So it's not so much about his monthly income, because it's rude to ask, but it's more of, can he afford to bring the cows home for the ceremony? If he can, and he pays that bridal price, he can take the girl home. So they don't focus too much on the income monthly. But I can realize and understand that in the United States, there is no lobola or bridal price or dowry and all those things. So they will look at the monthly income. But it doesn't work like that this side. It more works for the ceremony. You have to bring, maybe they say 10 cows home and a certain amount of money. Once that's done, the parents are happy. So it's not focused on the guy's monthly income, more on the ceremony.
Well, let me also ask you this, because there's like, so what happens if a young lady gets pregnant by her boyfriend and he hasn't I mean, I'm pretty sure that happens in South Africa, right? So she gets pregnant, but he
Yes, it
hasn't.
does.
So what happens in that case?
What when she gets pregnant and he's what?
Just her boyfriend.
Well, they will first take you to his house to go find out if he is the father of the child. And if he says no, then the parents will just take you back home and keep you there. But if he agrees, then there is a fee to be paid. It's called damages. Because if the girl is not married to the guy, then they call it damages because parents take it as you've damaged their kid because now nobody else can marry them. So you now need to pay a fee, and then after that you decide whether you want to marry her or not. But even if you don't want to marry her, you still need to pay the damages.
So how many guys pay these damages?
Quite a number of them actually, because it's practiced quite often. But if you don't pay, the parents are not going to let you see the child. That's how it works. So if you say, I'm not going to pay this money, I don't want to pay it, the parents might just say, okay, so this child is going to be our responsibility. You can just stay out of the child's life. So it's almost like they corner the guy into paying that, if you ask me.
I see. And let me just say this because obviously, how long have you been watching this channel? My channel.
For maybe 2 years now. I used to
Okay.
watch it a lot with my husband, and then I ended up subscribing because I was like, yeah, this O'Shea guy is the real guy.
Okay. So then let me ask you this. What's the difference in the content that you saw like me and TSN Johnson talking about that black men are experiencing in America to what you may think that South African men are experiencing in South Africa, black South African men? Do you think there's any relatability?
Yes, I do think so, because men face these challenges in relationships worldwide. Women that are uptight, women that are entitled, women that make more money than them. It's a global problem. It's not just a South African problem or a United States problem. So I do feel like you're reaching out to quite a huge audience, and everybody can relate to that because everyone is in a relationship that's complicated. And you do bring some answers or revelation or wisdom for the brothers out there that are suffering to just make good decisions.
All right. So, and I do thank you. Hopefully, we can do something like this on I have another channel called Kinganda. I don't know if you have subscribed to that one. Are you on that channel?
I'll definitely be checking it out after this. No, I'm
Yeah.
only on this channel.
Yeah. So check out my Kinganda YouTube channel. Almost 33,000 subscribers over there. So that's like my Pan African platform. So it's pretty good. And tell people, I know that you're a new YouTuber on the scene with less than 100 subscribers, but you'll have some more after this. Tell the people, why should they subscribe to your platform?
Well, the people should subscribe to my channel because they will learn a lot about achievement at a young age, because I'm one of those children that believe in empowering other people. Because I can't say I have all the answers, but I have a good support system around me, and I see people struggling to find answers. Some people are not at college, struggling with life, and I feel like I've gotten some good support and good advice, and I'm happy to share that with everyone else as to how I've succeeded to get to where I am today, and how I'm keeping my mental health in check, and basically the life-saving things that women need to do to be independent, because I'm not very dependent on anyone. I'm sure you've looked through my channel. I get up to some few activities, and I want women to do the same. Like, not depend on a man, not be requesting 6 figures because you don't know how to stand on your own 2 feet. So I think I discuss very relevant things to empower other people that are around about my age and older.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is put her comment in the first comment pinned to the top. Check her out, NOXXY Royal, from the great city of Johannesburg. She reached out
Thank you
to
so
me.
much.
Well, yeah, it was an impromptu. So, she was like, look, that's a big YouTuber. I'm going to make sure I get there. So I was so glad that she was able to come on, and thank you for coming on. Check her out, guys. I want you guys to support her. She's a very nice lady. And tell your husband, thank you for watching the show with me. And guys, Check her out. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. I'm out.